In the heart of an ancient forest, where the trees whispered the secrets of the old world, lived a mischievous monkey named Zorak. Zorak wasn't like the other animals. While the creatures of the forest lived in harmony with nature, Zorak had always craved power and attention. For years, he had studied the hidden arts of magic, learning from the forgotten scrolls that had been passed down in the dark corners of the forest. Zorak had always been a troublemaker. He loved to play pranks on the other animals, tripping them, hiding their food, and causing chaos wherever he went. But over time, his pranks grew darker and more dangerous. One day, while exploring an ancient cave, Zorak discovered a forbidden spellbook hidden deep within its dark walls. The book was filled with dark incantations, ones that promised to grant immense power, but at a cost. With a twisted smile on his face, Zorak couldn't resist the temptation. He decided to cast one of the most dangerous spells from the book. It was said to summon a curse so powerful that it would haunt the forest forever. The spell would twist the very essence of the forest. But Zorak didn't care about the consequences. His desire for power was greater than his concern for the forest or its inhabitants. With a chant that echoed through the cave, Zorak unleashed the curse. The skies darkened, the winds howled, and the ground trembled. In an instant, the forest was engulfed in darkness. Trees that once stood tall and proud began to wither and die, their leaves turning black as the curse spread like wildfire. The animals, who had once lived in peace, were now trapped in a nightmare of their own creation. Zorak stood in the center of the chaos, grinning as he watched the curse take hold. "Let the forest bow before my power," he cackled. "No one will dare oppose me now." As the days passed, the forest grew darker and more twisted. The once vibrant trees now stood like skeletons. The rivers, once clear and full of life, had turned black and thick, and the ground was covered in an eerie mist that never seemed to lift. The animals of the forest, terrified and confused, began to suffer. The birds no longer sang, and the animals no longer found food. The animals, once united in their peaceful coexistence, now lived in fear. They gathered in small groups, afraid to venture out into the darkness. But even in the face of such despair, there was one animal who would not back down. Among the frightened creatures was a brave cat named Nyx. Nyx had always been a solitary figure in the forest, but his heart was as courageous as any lion's. He had heard the whispers of the curse and had seen the suffering it caused, and he knew that he couldn't just sit idly by. He had to do something to stop the madness. Nyx was no stranger to danger. He had faced many challenges in his life, and he was determined to face this one head-on. He gathered a group of animals, including a wise owl named Orla and a strong wolf named Kale, to help him on his quest. Together, they formed a plan to find Zorak. The journey was not an easy one. The cursed forest was a treacherous place now, filled with dangerous creatures and strange phenomena. The once welcoming paths were now dark and twisted, and every step they took seemed to lead them further into the heart of the curse. Nyx, Orla, and Kale moved cautiously through the forest, their eyes constantly scanning the surroundings for any signs of danger. The air was thick with an unnatural silence, and every rustle of leaves seemed to echo like a warning. As they traveled deeper, they encountered strange, cursed creatures. Deer with eyes that glowed red, wolves whose fur had turned to shadows, and birds with twisted wings that screeched like banshees. Each of them was under the influence of the curse, and their once kind nature had been replaced by rage and malice. But Nyx and his companions pressed on,